Good afternoon.
Hello, everybody.
Good afternoon, Alex. How are you?
I'm fine, Richard. How are you?
Okay, that's the signal. it's 12 o'clock.
It's
It's
officially
another
12 o'clock. Yes.
yes, and that means it's another business webinar with, if you can hear me, with Alex and I. Nice that you can join us again on a Thursday afternoon, and we hope you are keeping well. I'll just introduce myself quickly for maybe some people that don't know me. My name is Richard. I'm originally from Wales, and I have lived in various countries, but have been living in Milan for about 4.5 years. I'm a corporate teacher at the school in Meravili, Milan. We have 3 schools in Milan. I teach at the one in Meravili, and as I'm a corporate teacher, I teach in companies inside and outside of Milan. So, hi everybody, and my colleague now, Alex, will introduce herself.
Yes. So thank you, Richard. My name is Alexandra. You can call me Alex. I also am a corporate teacher for Myes English schools, and I work in the school of Milano Meravigli. As Richard said, being a corporate teacher, I teach mainly companies and individuals who want to learn English for their work or their studies. I am half American and half Italian, and I live in Milan. So, but that's me in a nutshell.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Alex. Okay, so today we have chosen a focus activity on networking at beginner level C1. And let's have a look at the word networking first. What is networking, Alex?
Well, let's look at the words that are inside this word. There's net. Net is basically a fabric with holes. It connects things, and work relates to the work environment. So if we create a net in the work environment, we are talking about relationships with colleagues, with stakeholders, so people that have an interest in our regard. Yes, basically making and maintaining connections in your work environment. Is that okay?
Perfect. Very good. Yeah, like communicating. Yes, and we network within our own sector. It's how we get new business, new clients, how we keep up to date with things. Also, yeah, it's like a net. Like Alex said, it captures things. Yes, very good. Okay, and the title of this networking activity is called Got Culture. And when we talk about culture, we talk about things like art, traditions, customs, social behavior, ideas of that particular country. So our culture is something that maybe we say defines us, yeah, separates us from other countries in a positive way. I don't mean in a negative way, in a positive way. And also a culture very important to a lot of people. Okay, and the title is Got Culture. And Alex, you and I were discussing earlier, and it reminded you of something from America. Would you like to share the story? I didn't know this, guy, so it was an
Yes.
interesting fact that
So
Alex told me.
I have a background in advertising and communication, and this title, God Culture, immediately brought to my mind an advert that was very popular in the US. I think it still is, and it's the Got Milk campaign. So Got Milk was a campaign by the Milk Association. So the goal was to promote the consumption of milk in the US. And it was very, very famous because all it said was got milk. And the visual, so the picture they used, there were a lot of pictures, and they all had very famous people, actors, uh, mm, I think, yeah, mainly actors, musicians, uh, famous people in the U.S. with some milk on top of their lips. So you had all these famous people with milk on their lips, and all it said was "got milk." So yeah, that's what brought to mind. If anybody of you watching right now remembers or has seen, you can Google it, got milk, has seen this commercial or this advertisement, let me know.
No, it is very interesting because I'd never heard of it, and
Yeah, it's American.
yeah,
So
after you told me, I had a quick look on the internet, and yeah, there's a lot of very famous people. Yeah, let's say actors, sports stars, celebrities with this photo. Okay, before we start, it's just to remind you that for you people that join us, if you would like to tell us your names, where you are viewing from, even your jobs, what do you do? It would be nice to hear from you. Please add them in the comments, and let's start. Okay, I'm just going to go to the next screen. Okay, Alex, would you like to read?
sure. So in this business activity, we're going to look at ways to ask about culture. And like Richard said, we intend with culture a lot of things from social habits, arts, food, and so on. We're also going to look at ways to make invitations and ideas for meeting after work.
Okay. And before we go to the next screen, Alex, we talked about networking, okay? And when we say network is about communication. And when we do go to a business conference or we have a meeting, maybe outside of the place where you work, normally in a coffee break or when you go out for dinner with these colleagues or these clients, yes, you start talking about different things, different
Yeah.
topics, yes. And but do we talk about these things in real detail, or is it just on the surface?
Well, it's generally a superficial chat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's a way to fill up time. Silence can be awkward in a business environment, so we tend to also, also get to know the person we're working with, and it's nice for business. It's nice for personal relationship. It's nice for the mood. So we tend to talk about different topics, but in a very light and
Yeah.
leisurely way.
And we have a name for this. Would you like to remind the viewers what do we call this type of conversation, type of talk?
Yeah, we call this type of light and easy way of talking small talk. small as in size, small size, small talk.
Perfect. Yeah, it's called small talk. And like we said, we don't really talk in detail. Yes, okay. It's, as Alex said, it's more superficial, more in general. So what type of topics then would you talk about, do you think, Alex? Do you have any ideas?
Well, like I said, not all topics are appropriate when you're talking with colleagues or with potential clients or partners, simply because often we don't know those people very well. So we have to be careful not to offend the culture of the person we are talking to, not to make him feel unease, not at ease, sorry. Basically, not to make him feel uncomfortable. And topics which are not appropriate, we call taboo topics.
Perfect.
Let's give
Yes.
some examples. So, for example, a good small talk topic could be the weather,
Always the weather. Yeah.
traffic, traffic, if people found traffic, or basically how you arrived to the place, movies or music, interests in general.
Yeah, we'd also
Um,
talk about maybe our families a little bit, uh, maybe holidays. Yes. If if it's a situation where you've traveled to another city for a conference or a meeting, you might think, what do you think about Milan? Is it your first time in Milan? Do you like it? Oh, yeah, it's really nice. Yes. Okay. For sure, as Alex said, and us British people love talking about this. We talk about the weather. Yeah,
It's like
nice weather.
Italians for food. We
Yeah,
talk about food all the time.
very good. Another good subject also for small talk: food. Yes. Okay. So yes, these are things, and an expression we use here also, which has just come to mind, is something that breaks the ice.
Right.
Yes.
Correct.
When we use the expression of breaks the ice, it's when you're in a situation that maybe you don't feel so comfortable, or just you're maybe a little bit nervous, you don't know the person, you just start a conversation about something that's not going to be too difficult to talk about, and you start to become a little bit more
More
comfortable with that
intimate,
person.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the topics here that the slide will give us some examples of. So I'm just going to change the slide here. Okay, so it says here, how about that? What topics can you speak about with a client or colleague? And here we have some examples, some which Alex and I mentioned. So here we have the weather, we have sports, we have family, marriage status, salary, food and wine, work experience, politics, travel plans, music, common contacts, and history. I think Alex added a good one there, which is quite popular, which was films and TV, which Alex mentioned. And maybe under travel plans, we could also break that out into holidays also. Okay. Alex, a little bit subjective also when we talk about taboo subjects, because some people are very open-minded and they'll talk about anything. But which of these in general do you think are taboo?
Well, like I
from this list?
yes, from this list, you would probably, but in general, this would be valid, not talk about or ask about salary. So
Hmm.
it's never nice to say how much you earn or ask
No.
so much, it's just simply unpolite. And probably you would avoid politics as well. Politics can be a subject on which people may have very strong opinions. And
Mm.
again, this is a situation in which you're probably speaking to this person either for the first time, or you probably have a very superficial knowledge about that person's interests, positions, ideas, and so on. So probably you would avoid talking about, again, money, politics, and I guess it's not in this list, but things like sex, alcohol. I mean, they're just risky topics.
Yeah, I agree completely. Uh, Another one to add, which is also religion
Mm-hmm.
and isms. And what we mean by isms are, for example, racism. Yes, topics that, like Alex said, that people have quite a strong opinion about, which could
Or
be
that
different.
might hurt feelings. I mean,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
example, gender equality. You don't know the sexual orientation of the person, and it's not polite to ask. So avoid isms, sexisms, machism, boy being to male, offensive, and so on.
yeah. But sometimes it is quite difficult to think sometimes which topics could be taboo and which aren't.
Oh yeah.
But in general, these, as Alex said, are the ones that we usually try to avoid. A topic which I've thought about here that we could add, which is not a taboo, but something we could talk about, is the news.
Hmm.
Yes. We do usually maybe as a nice break, as something to start a conversation. Did you see the news about that
Or have you
thing?
heard?
Yeah, have you heard about what happened in America yesterday, or what happened in Milan? Or
No,
yes,
what? Tell me more, and so on. You can start a conversation like that.
yeah,
Again, a lot of times it's subjective. It doesn't mean that you things can happen. I mean, you don't know. Maybe you're talking with a very sincere and genuine interest about a topic such as food and drinks, and the other person is Muslim, and you didn't know that. So things like this can happen. It's just to admit it was an honest mistake. So you simply didn't know and you didn't want to be offensive. So again, things that may seem innocent sometimes may create problems. It's just a situation in which you admit that you made a mistake and you didn't intend to offend anybody.
yeah. Okay, so let's have a look at the second question. We are going to think of some questions we can ask for some of these subjects. We are going to avoid the taboo subjects because, as we said, we don't really speak about them. Um, so, for example, perhaps we can think of one each or something, Alex. For the weather, we could maybe, if it's someone from a different country or even region, we could say, "What's the weather like?" What's the weather like in Britain at the moment? Oh, it's horrible, or it's rainy. Yes. Okay. Don't forget, guys, when we use like at the end of a question, we're asking for a description. So when I say,
Hmm.
"What's the weather like?" could you describe the weather? Yes. Do you have any other ideas on weather, Alex?
You can just even start with your own opinion and asking for support, such as, nice weather today, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
just asking for a reply, yeah, or no, not really, oh, how come? And so on.
yeah. We could say if it's very hot or something, we could say, do you like this type of weather? Do you like the hot weather? No, I prefer it a bit cooler, to be honest. A bit too hot for me. Yeah, and it just starts a conversation. Yes. Okay. Sports. There are a lot of questions we could ask here, maybe as icebreakers. You could say,
Like, do you follow sports? Do you like
yeah.
sports?
Do you like
Uh,
in general? Mm-hmm.
yeah. What
Go on, Alex.
sports
Yeah.
do you like? Oh, have you seen the game yesterday? What's your favorite team? Oh, no, mine's different. Oh, why? So on.
Yeah. Could even be who's your favorite player?
Hmm?
Yes. Okay. And again, like I say, it builds and makes a conversation. Family. Al, you have some ideas?
Yeah, well, a very simple and easy question could be, are you married or do you have children?
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is often a very innocent and common question to ask, but it may create sometimes some embarrassment. Again, you don't know the other person, so sometimes even asking if the person has or hasn't children may create embarrassment. Maybe that person doesn't want children or can't have children or so on. So sometimes it's just wait until the other person just gives you that type of information.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna use the one below marriage status to tie it in with family because it's very similar in my opinion.
Right.
But I avoid sometimes, like you say, especially in more of a business situation, which is what this focus is about. I normally ask someone, are they married? Yes. Okay, because I think it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
If they
sure.
say no, I don't always ask them, oh, do you have a boyfriend or do you have a girlfriend? I don't always. It depends. Like sometimes it depends on the reaction you get. But I avoid that sometimes. I just say, oh, are you married? Yeah. Oh, do you have children? No. Oh, yes. Yeah. But if they say, are you married? And they say, no, I'm not. I don't always ask, well, do you have a boyfriend? It to me, it is if you go one step further a little bit. Yeah.
Right.
But
A soft skill in the work environment is social intelligence. Okay,
mhm,
we call social intelligence the ability to understand if something is appropriate or not in order to maintain a relationship with a colleague, with a partner, and so on. So you need to be socially intelligent. So you need to understand if asking that question is pushing the confidence a little bit too far or if it's okay. So you're all intelligent people and you can understand if it is okay to ask that question or not.
yeah, it's no different in Italian to English, really. Yes, as Alex said, the social intelligence. Of course, the language changes, but the approach to the situation is the same. Salary, we said, is taboo, so we're going to go straight to food and wine. Again, we could talk about this for hours. Eh?
Italians talk about food all the time. I mean, food is the main quality in our culture. Let me know if you agree or disagree with this, but I am strongly convinced of this.
Yeah,
Uh,
so questions we could ask.
did
What
you
type
have
of food
lunch?
do you
What did
like?
you have for lunch?
Yeah. Hmm.
What are your plans for dinner? What's your favorite food? Or do you
Yeah.
like the food here? What do you think about the food? Would you like a coffee? You've got plenty.
Lots of things, yes, and very similar with wine. Do you like wine, or do you prefer beer? Or yeah, I do like. I like wine. What type of wine do you like? Do you prefer red or white? Oh, I prefer red. Ah, really? Do you like Italian wine, or do you like? Again, it just you can just carry on and on and on.
Right.
Um,
Always consider the moment, of course. You probably won't be speaking of wine for breakfast or for an early meeting, because that could sound a little bit awkward. But yeah, if
yeah, I
you're
agree.
ending a meeting around lunchtime, uh, well, now you wouldn't speak about, let's say in the evening, because and to drink wine during a lunch break in Italy would sound maybe also weird. But yeah, if it's Friday evening, how about going out for a drink? And do you like wine? Do you prefer beer and so on? Then that's okay.
Yeah, you might even, as Alex said, yes, you wouldn't. It's nothing. You wouldn't really talk about it over breakfast. It depends. It depends though, because again, it depends on the context. Yes,
Yeah, if you have an
you can't.
appointment in Heineken, why not?
Yeah, but I'm just thinking of a situation. You can comment on a wine, yes, and say, "Oh, nice wine, this isn't it? Yes, very nice. Where does it come from? I don't know." Maybe you could be meeting some maybe clients the next day for breakfast, and I'm just showing how things can. It really depends on what you say,
Yeah, there's so
and in
many
the conversation.
possibilities, right?
Not yeah, nice meal we had last night, wasn't it? Yeah, that was a really nice restaurant. And the wine was great, wasn't it? Yeah, that wine was fantastic. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. So again, work experience. Alex, this is a good one because it's about business. So we may be talking about work. Any ideas?
How long have you been in the company?
Perfect.
Um, or have you worked here for a long time? Or in which area do you work in? I can't
Yeah.
think of others.
Well,
Yeah.
very similar to area. Have you always worked in advertising? Yes. No, actually, I worked in financing also. What did you do in financing? Oh, I did this. Yes. And like Alex said, how long in the company?
It
Yes.
may be closely related to another subject there, which is common contact. Oh, do you by chance know such and
Mm-hmm.
such from logistics? Not really, but I know this one. Do you know him? Yeah, we've worked together for years. By the way, if you see him, say hello on my side, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I would tie that in with the common contacts.
Common
Um,
contacts are probably the most typical subject for networking, because you're creating
exactly.
a contact. So you can create contacts, you can generate a link by realizing that you have the same contacts in common, that you know people, or suggesting new people that that person should meet. Oh, you should meet this guy. It's very closely related to what you do.
I agree. I agree. Okay, politics is a taboo subject, so like I said, we're gonna avoid that. Travel plans. Okay, we could be talking about maybe someone's next holiday. Do you have a holiday booked this year? Yes, we're
Yeah, where are you
going
going this
to.
summer? Any
Yeah.
plans for this summer?
Mm-hmm. Or even if it's for the winter, yes, Oh, where are you traveling anywhere over Christmas? Yes, I'm going to my parents. Yeah, and then you may start asking some other questions related to that.
Or
If
like, what do you think about Malaysia? Should it, Do you think it's a nice place to visit? Have you been there? Or do you prefer other locations? Where was the last holiday you did? Things like that. Do you like traveling?
Yeah, exactly. There are many questions. Music, the same, a little bit maybe similar to sports or
Right.
any subject really.
Entertainment.
Yeah, music, arts, films. What's your favorite type of music? Who's your favorite singer? What's your favorite band? Do you go to many concerts? You might talk about the concert. This concert of blah 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 I went to was fantastic. Or maybe negative. You might talk about old music, new music, different
Live
types of music.
music, if you've been to live
Yeah.
shows, the last concert you saw, uh, just sharing tastes, personal tastes, and personal how do you
Yeah.
say? Yeah,
Opinions,
opinions.
tastes. Yes. Okay. And yeah. Okay. Common context, Alex used when we talk about work experience. History.
History is kind of awkward. I would
Yeah, a bit of a
turn
strange
that.
one for me.
Yeah, I would turn that. Let's consider that as news. So again, if something, have you heard about something that was in the news, or do you know anything about, or what's your opinion on this and this that happened yesterday, and so on. I would turn it into, let's talk about the news.
Perfect. Of course, guys, these are just some ideas, and we added some other ideas uh, to these shown here. But of course, there could be other subjects that may come up in a conversation, depending on your interests. Sometimes you may find the same interest as someone, and you start talking about that, or some sort of connection you have, something in common. So this there could be many
Right.
different subjects.
If you
Okay.
have any ideas on other subjects that are nice or questions that you can ask when connecting with somebody, write them in the comments and
Yeah.
let us know.
Okay, so let's go to the next slide where we're going to have a look at some questions. Okay, and these questions, Alex, are not in the correct form, in the correct structure. Okay,
Yeah.
so what we need to do is make a correct question for each example. Okay, and if you remember, guys, when we make questions, we have our question words, which, for example, are what, who, why. Okay, sorry, guys. And also, when we use these question words, they are what we call open questions, where the question is asking for a bit of detail also in the answer. Okay, these are using question words. We sometimes use the auxiliary verbs to create a question. And when we use the auxiliary verbs to make a question, excuse me, the response is normally a yes or no answer. And these are what we call closed questions. We all
Generally,
go on.
when we're sorry, generally
No,
when we
sorry.
are when we're networking, we tend to avoid yes or no questions. Or even if we ask a yes or no question, generally it's polite to follow up with a follow-up question. So to ask for more detail, to keep the conversation going, because otherwise it can just stop on a yes or no.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's the end of your networking.
Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yeah, yeah, exactly. I agree with Alex. It could be that you do ask a closed question, but yes, to keep the conversation going. I mean, for example, oh, did you go to the convention in Switzerland? No, I didn't. Ah, but he could follow up saying, "Oh, why was that? Oh, I didn't
Yes,
have the
exactly.
time."
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, uh, you can create the conversation sometimes, even if you do use a closed
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, of course.
Um, another another form we use, of course, is the present perfect when we talk about a life experience or something that you have done in your life. So, have you ever, and then, okay, what the situation is. So, let's have a look at these questions, and
Mm-hmm.
let's put them into the correct form. So, Alex, the first one.
Yes. So remember, we start from the question word. So what? Then comes the auxiliary. So what is? Then I have the subject. What is your country? And at the end, like. What is your country like?
Perfect. Okay. The next one is where we use the auxiliary. Okay. And we would uh, turn this into, did you see the game last night? Okay. So, did auxiliary you see the game last night? Okay. Sorry, guys. Let me just. Okay. Next one, Alex.
Okay. Um, Again, we start with the question word. So what, auxiliary, what do you think about this weather? What do you think about this weather?
Right. Sorry, Alex. I was listening to you and not paying attention
It's
to
okay. It's
the
okay.
to the screen. Okay. Um, this weather's great at the moment, unfortunately, because we
Definitely.
can't
Yeah.
we can't go out. Okay, here we're using the again with the auxiliary. Do you know the north of Africa? So we have the auxiliary, subject, and the verb in the infinitive. Do you know the north of Africa?
We
Okay.
have another closed question here. So we start with the auxiliary. Do you prefer red or white wine, or white or red wine?
Perfect. Okay. Like I think we used this in the previous slide anyway. Yes, it's a very standard question.
Mm-hmm.
Here, as we said, we can also use the present perfect to talk about an experience. The experience here is going to Bermuda. So we use have you ever, and the past participle of the verb to go, which is been. Okay. So have you ever been to Bermuda?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we use the word ever to ask for something that has happened in that person's life. So, have you been at least once to Bermuda? Then we use the word ever.
Yeah.
In the following question, oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, really, it just adds emphasis. Yes, you can say. I mean, it's optional. You can say, "Have you been to Bermuda?"
Yeah.
But we normally do use the ever. Yes, because I say it just adds emphasis. Or in your whole life, is this an experience you've had? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sorry, Al.
No, no, perfect. I was just saying that in a more normal context, you can just
Mhm.
ask, have you met my colleague Evelyn?
Yeah. Perfect. And for the last one, we have, again, a closed question using the auxiliary and the subject, and of course, do you know the song playing now? Okay, perfect.
So, do you think that these topics are appropriate for small talk?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's about traveling, personal preferences, life experiences, common contacts. All these topics are good for just keeping a conversation going.
Yeah, we have sports there also and music. So like Alex said, it's a general conversation looking at a lot of different subjects. If you have to spend maybe an hour or 2 hours over a business lunch or business dinner, yes, without going into too much detail about the subject, and it's a very nice, very polite conversation. Interesting also. It's still interesting. Just because you're not getting so much detail doesn't mean it's uninteresting. Okay, let's have a look at the next slide. On the right, in blue, we have the answers.
Some answers. We'll look at some possible answers to all these questions.
Okay. So, okay, I need to look. Okay, the first question, Alex. What do you think the answer is?
Yeah, so what is your country like? I'd say, well, it's very cold in the winter, but the summer is perfect.
Very good. And the next one we have, did you see the game last night? So it's a question about sport. So the answer is going to be yes, I did. What a win for the home team. Okay. The home team is the team of that city. Okay. And in a lot of competitive sports like football, the home team will have its own stadium. Okay. So in Milan, okay, a little bit different in Milan because the stadium is shared between Inter and AC. Yes. But of course, they are the home teams of this city. The team that they are playing is called the away team.
The away team, yes.
You have a home team and away. And also in football and rugby and a lot of competitive sports, you also have a home kit and an away kit. And the kit is just, a kit is just another name for uniform. You know, the shorts and the t-shirt, the jersey that they wear. Like for example, the home colours of Liverpool are red. The home colours of Manchester United are red. So if you are playing a team at their stadium, they get priority to wear their home colours. And then your away colours have to be different. Because if you have two red teams playing each other, you wouldn't know who's on each team.
It would be very funny though.
Yeah.
Oh no, God, it's the autograph.
Okay, the next one.
Let's look at number 3. What do you think about this weather? I don't mind it. At least it isn't snowing. So I can say I don't mind if it's okay. If if I don't have a strong opinion against or for it.
Perfect. Next question. Do you know the north of Africa? Okay. The answer will be no, I've never been there. What's it like? And again, as we said, here we have like at the end of the sentence. So we want a little bit of information about the description of the north of Africa. Maybe a little bit about the culture, as we mentioned earlier. Maybe something about the weather. Yeah, a little bit of information describing the north of Africa. Alex?
Do you prefer red or white wine? It depends on the meal, but usually red.
Perfect.
So it depends. It is something that may change uh, in relation to the specific meal. So it depends means not always the same.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, good explanation. Have you ever been to Bermuda? Ah, very good. They've got more. I think it's going to be the same.
Yeah,
Yes,
no, I've never
as
been
the
there.
yeah, very
Right.
good. I didn't spot that. They were trying to trick
Trick
me there.
you.
Yeah, but I got it. I should get it. Have you ever been
You're
to Bermuda?
clever.
No, I'm not sure. Clever. Um, Next one, Alex.
Let's use the word clever again. So have you
Yeah.
met my colleague Evelyn? Yes, she's really clever. So clever means smart, intelligent.
Okay. Very good. And the last one we have is, do you know the song playing now? Sure. Yes. It's always on MTV.
Mhm.
Perfect. Okay. Guys, to finish, we are just going to do one last slide where we're going to look at a typical dialogue you may have after a long day of meetings with maybe clients or maybe some colleagues from different offices or different locations. And the colleagues are Ed and Paul, and they decide they need a little fun. Would you want to be Alex, Ed, or Paul? You choose.
I can be Paul.
Okay, all right. So I'll be Ed. This is a typical conversation you could have. Oh, what a day. How about going for a drink?
Yeah, why not? There's a place around the corner.
Ah, okay. Shall we ask the others?
I think Jenny and Kate are still in the office.
I'll meet you there in 10 minutes.
Great. Could you order me a schnapps?
Will do. I guess you really do need a drink. Okay, so just as a little bit of revision for you guys, Ed says, what a day. Okay, now he wants to make a suggestion. So he says, how about? Okay, and if you remember from your lessons, when you make a suggestion with how about, we use the verb with ing. So how about going? Yes, for a drink. Just to use another example, to make a suggestion, you may ask if he wants to play tennis. How about playing tennis? Okay. Also, for this one, instead of saying how, we can say what. How about or what about?
Yeah.
Alex, the next one for suggestions, which you mentioned earlier.
Well, we could also suggest something by saying, why don't we? Why don't we go for a drink? In this case, instead of the ing form, we have to use the infinitive without to. So why don't we go?
Okay. In the dialogue, we have shall. Shall we ask the others? Again, guys, a very nice way to make a suggestion.
Very polite.
Yeah, very polite. I agree. It's maybe a little bit more formal, but it's nice. We do use this form a lot. And again, we use the verb in the infinitive without to, which is what we call the base form. And we could also use let's. Let's ask the others, or let's go for a drink. So we have let's, shall, why don't we, with the verb in the infinitive without to, and with how about and what about. we use the verb and ing. Okay, guys.
Just quickly before we end, let's look at some ways to accept a suggestion. For example, we can see in the dialogue, yeah, why not? Sounds good. Why not? So I'm saying yes. Another way could be great or super. And yeah, I think, I guess will do.
Yeah.
That is accepting.
Sure. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Guys, just to finish, thanks for joining us. In today's focus, we looked at small talk, and we explained to you that small talk is a conversation we'll have with someone maybe we don't know or don't know very well, where we will discuss particular topics, but not in so much detail. The type of topics we can talk about, or maybe usually talk about, are things like the weather, our family, holidays, music, films, for example. And then we looked at taboo subjects. And can you remind us what does it mean, a taboo subject, Al?
A taboo subject is something you generally do not talk about. There are subjects on which people may have very strong opinions that may cause embarrassment or have people feel uncomfortable. So taboo subjects are generally things like the salary a person earns, the sexual orientation, politics, in general, things, religion, things that may be private or that need a good deal of confidence to speak about.
Perfect. Okay, and then we looked at how we make some of these questions, quickly revising that we use question words for open questions, we use auxiliary verbs for closed questions.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for joining us, guys. The webinars, as you know, are being broadcast daily from 9 till 9. So we hope to see you again for another one. And have a nice day. Alex?
Bye. Keep on following us. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Take care. Ciao.